Wolf back. What's going on? Your boy, the Wolf of RotoStreetGeral.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with the last waiver wire pickup show of the year, week 17. If you're still here, that means you are likely in your championship week. Let's go. That is awesome stuff. I'm still blowing my words because how could you be more excited than this? The best time of the year. So if you've made it this far, congrats. If not, and you're just here to say hello, well, even better. Good to see you guys too. But to those of you who made your championships, congratulations. There are certainly some guys still out there in leagues that, whether you need them for your lineup or not, you certainly don't want to have to be facing even this late in the season. So we will go through all of those pickups here. Would love to hear from you guys as you come on in, whether or not you won your leagues, all that good stuff. Keep the Wolf posted here. Let me know how everything went in your championship week. Because, of course, I'd love to hear it. And as you guys come in as well, that thumbs up button does help us get out to more people. Apologize for my voice. If you can, hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me know in the comments if you can. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Got a little bit of a cold here, but we will be plowing through here for you guys. So let's get into all of those people. But again, congratulations if you made your championship week. Let's talk about some players that can help bring home that title here in week 17. And with that focus too, just want to make sure it's clear to you guys, this is 1 week rentals. At this point, it does not matter how much longer, what their outlook is. This is strictly who will be ranked the highest in my week 17 rankings, who could be the biggest difference makers in those week 17 matchups. So that is how I am talking about this from here. So that, fab, there's no more fab strategy. Below all the money you have left, get the guys in this order exactly as follows. First, check for Darrell Williams. We know Clyde Edwards-Helaire unlikely to be playing this week. We might have seen the last of him for the regular season. Darrell Williams had some very solid efforts without Clyde, 24, 8, 17, 10, and 29 fantasy points. 2 just massive week winner efforts, and then 1 to 2 really solid efforts. A dud, but his lowest was 8. That's really not that bad. So you could be getting yourself a high-end RB2 here. Good, solid matchup with Cincinnati, bottom 12 against the run, 61% rostered. Check for him first, and then Elijah Moore, who he might not even be the number 1 guy on the rest of this list, but certainly still worth looking for at 55% rostered. If he does play, he'd get Tampa Bay, who has been giving up the 5th most points to quarterbacks, top 15 or so matchup for wide receivers here. The only way to beat them is to throw. And so Elijah Moore, who before going down was the legitimate wide receiver 1 from week 8 to his injury, definitely some huge upside. So it'd be tough to trust him, but at the end of the day too, I don't want to be facing Elijah Moore in my finals, given the damage he was doing. He might not even return. He could still end up finishing the season on the IR, COVID list, whatever could happen. But both of those guys that I certainly don't want to have to face and could easily be in your lineups come week 17. Let's now move on to the guys that are also out there in well over half of leagues. As we do, again, that thumbs up button does help us get out to more people. Get all your questions in, set starts, all that good stuff. I probably won't be live. It's a pretty crazy week with school vacation week, and I'm just not feeling great. So probably won't be live tomorrow for the usual ranking show. We'll be live, of course, with The Truth on Thursday at 6:45 p.m., though, to hit all your set starts, but happy to answer any other questions until we get there. So come on in. You can find me at RotoStreetWolf as well if you're catching the replay. Isaiah McKenzie is my number 1 pickup facing Atlanta this coming week. Granted, this hinges on both Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis. More importantly, Cole Beasley missing the game. And with all these new COVID protocols, is it 5 days? Is it 10? There's all this stuff's up in the air, and they might adopt new practices, in which case we could see Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis back, if not one or the other. Should one of them return, then McKenzie would go back to pretty much useless, which he was all year. But in the games he has played without Cole Beasley specifically, he takes over that slot role, and he has had massive outputs. Last week, most recently, we saw 12 targets, 11 catches. Both of those were season highs for any Bills receiver this entire year. 125 yards and a TD, almost 30 PPR points, wide receiver 3 on the week. That is the upside this guy has. Dating back to last year, we saw a game without Cole Beasley. 9 targets, 6 catches, 65 and 2 TDs was the wide receiver 7 with 30.5 PPR points. We got a guy averaging over 30 PPR points per game in his 2 starts across the last 2 years. And now he's going to be facing Atlanta. No-brainer to me. Has to be your number 1 guy, whether you're playing him or whether you want to dodge a massive blow-up. McKenzie, by all the prospects out there, has the most explosive ceiling, in my opinion. But right below him, especially if your opponent, and this is another thing you got to factor in, is both what do you need, but also what does your opponent need? they need a QB. You definitely want to block them from getting Trey Lance, who is looking likely to be starting this week with a potential thumb surgery coming for Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance is only 12% rostered, and he will be going against Houston. Yes, they are abysmal across the board against everything, but especially abysmal against the run. We just saw them get bludgeoned this last weekend for a league-winning performance from Justin Jackson. Trey Lance, of course, the quarterback, not the running back, but he still ran on over a fourth of his snaps. 26% of his snaps were a carry. That's more than Cam Newton, 18%. That's more than Lamar Jackson, 16%. That's more than Taysom Hill at 15%. By 10% more. He runs 10% more than Taysom Hill. And last time he was out there, he was just a hair away. I cite John Daigle for this stat. He just barely missed on a goal line plunge, which would have made him the quarterback 11 when nothing went right, when he didn't throw a touchdown, when he didn't look good. And now Kyle Shanahan saying the last month Trey has been the best. He's been most consistent, looking like he's made some real good progress. The last month has been his best, according to Kyle Shanahan. So this guy that we preseason, I'll get it, swing, miss, called all these rookie quarterbacks, not all of them, really him and Justin Fields, potential league winners because of the Konami upside that they brought. Granted, we've never seen the opportunity really come for Trey Lance other than that one time, and it wasn't great. I'm telling you, though, if he's come further along as a passer, really, it doesn't even matter. He's facing Houston, who is giving up a ton, the most rushing yards per game on the ground. That's all you need to know. The guy could run for 100 yards himself, and anything else he does passing-wise would be gravy. But now with everybody else healthy there, I really think Trey Lance, top 12 quarterback entering this week, and someone I would not want to be matched up against in my championship if I miss out. KJ Osborn, though, talk about a guy that we know can get it done when he gets the extended work. He has now played 7 games when he's seen 6+ targets this season. He's averaging nearly 16 PPR points per game. That would have been top 20 had he seen that throughout the season. Averaging now 5 receptions, almost 72 yards, 8 targets, and 67 yard receiving touchdowns. Rather, 11 touchdown pace on a 16-game season. He has scored in 5 of the 7 games. He has seen 7+ targets. He has been a top 21 receiver in all but 2 of those efforts as well. The guy has been a beast every time he gets to work. Now you're getting Green Bay, who, they are a little bit decent secondary, sure, even without losing Jerry Zell. But the last time we saw the Vikings play them, shootout game in which we saw Thielen had 10 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Jefferson, 169 yards and 2 scores. So the receivers got it done. And the reason why Osborn's so high on the list is because Thielen has been knocked out yet again. Seems unlikely that he'll be going, especially with not much left on the line for this team. So KJ Osborn right back into that meaningful role. Stepped right back into an 18% target share this last week. As soon as Thielen went down, he's the clear number 2. And he thrives every time he is in that role. So I love KJ Osborn this week, my number 2 receiver. Behind only Isaiah McKenzie, my number 1 receiver, if McKenzie ends up dealing with Beasley or Davis returning. Chicago defense. So usually I don't have defenses this high on the list, but for a 1 week, this is it. We're dealing with only the championship week. And again, congratulations to all you guys out there. So exciting. Chicago defense could be that difference maker defense you need. They're going against the Giants. News flash, the Giants suck. Glennon or Jake Fromm, whoever it is at quarterback. Somehow Fromm was even worse than Glennon. I didn't think that was humanly possible, and it was. They have now scored 10 or fewer points in 5 of their last 6 games. The Bears are not a great defense, but the Giants are that bad. That doesn't matter if it's a good defense or not. They could be a nice 15 to 20-point defensive surprise, and this is the time of the year it's worth it to roster multiple defenses, whether that's to block your opponent, whether that's to use them yourself. They would be a top 6 defense this week that should not be on the waiver wire at all. Numbers 5 and 6, good luck figuring out who it is. Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. I would lean Scott first and then Jordan Howard second because Howard did suffer a stinger. The big news is we know Miles Sanders is going to be out, a broken hand, will not be playing at least week 17, could be back for the playoffs. Last we've seen of him, though, for your fantasy season, we did see Jordan Howard step in as the next man up, but then he suffers a stinger, in which case Scott comes in, plays the next 22 steps compared to 2 for Gainwell, so kind of reaffirms Gainwell is the bottom of this totem pole. No matter how good he looks every time he gets work, he's the bottom of here. So now we've got Scott going for 41 and a touchdown on his 12 carries. Decent effort. Always seems to find the end zone, even though Miles Sanders somehow cannot ever. But I do imagine if Howard's good to go, and it was just a stinger, he'd probably be the first man up. They are getting a Washington team that surrendered 200 combined rushing yards to Sanders and Howard the last time out just a couple weeks ago. We just saw them give up 56 points to Dallas. We know how run-heavy the Eagles have been, the most run-heavy team across their last 6 weeks. There's going to be volume. There's going to be quality volume given how bad this defense is. It is a question of how it shakes out, but you know Scott's going to be involved. Even if Howard's the starter, we'll still get about 12 to 15 carries for Scott, probably 16, 20 for Howard. That's just how this offense is built. I don't think Washington has any type of meaningful resistance to this. So I imagine both those backs could have themselves quality days. I got to jump on to just checking the chats here. We got my man, Ward Willis. Thank you so much. Always supporting the site. It is so greatly appreciated. Thank you, brother. We got to get this one for you, though. Jump in the line with your super chat. Pick one, Connor, Ayuk, Claypool, Pollard, or Van Jefferson. Thank you for all the advice to a championship. So, Ward, first couple notes here. Is Connor good? Is he healthy? Is he back to his starting role? Probably the best bet for a touchdown here. That being said, Ayuk, who's his quarterback? Is Trey Lance going to be the guy? It seems likely. I don't know that I want to trust the passing weapons there. Obviously, you trust Debo and Kittle, but I don't know that I need to go to Ayuk in that sense. So I probably like Connor the most here, but I do think we need to learn, is he healthy? It is full PPR. Good to know as well. I'm not trusting Van. I mean, you've seen, 3 targets plus? That's it. 3 or less in 4 straight weeks, I believe it is for Van. Claypool, 2 boomer busts. Don't want to trust him with the title on my line. To me, it comes down to Connor or Ayuk. Pollard a little too inconsistent. But I do think this is one where if Connor is out and Trey Lance is at quarterback, is Isaiah McKenzie or KJ Osborn out there in your league's, Ward? Because I'd probably prefer them over either of those guys. At least go get them now so we have that option as of Thursday. But gun to my head, if all these guys are in, I probably am still going Connor, given how good he's been this year. Cowboys are a pretty good run D, but they're going to need points. Best bet to find an end zone. So that's where I'm leaning. Ward Willis right now is Connor, but obviously that's when we're going to need more information on. Is he healthy? What's his status? Chase Edmonds did look so damn good, so that's tricky. But again, the top 2 guys, Osborn and Isaiah McKenzie, could both be in consideration ahead of them. So moving on from the Eagles backfield, again, a great spot of widely available guys. Gerald Everett, if you need a tight end, nobody better on the waiver wire than what Everett's been doing, averaging nearly 6 targets per game since the bye, outproducing DK Metcalf in fantasy points since that span. Absolute insanity. He's now scored 3 touchdowns in his last 5. He has a season-high 68 yards against Chicago last week. The tight end 11 since Russell Wilson came off the IR in week 10. So he's been solid. Now he gets a Lions defense that has now given up nearly 100 yards per game, 423 yards across their last 5 games, 2 tight ends. And they haven't really been facing studs either. Gerald Everett could have, yet again, a season high in yards. Also find the end zone once again. One of the best tight end plays still out there on your waiver wire. Go out there, sprint, and see is Gerald Everett out there. Then you move on, another pairing similar to the Eagles backfield earlier with 5 and 6. 8 and 9's Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Allen Lazard there. Valdez-Scantling, the preferred option if he's in. He is still on the COVID list, but it seems like he should be clearing protocol this week. By the midweek is certainly with the new procedures out there. Last time we saw him out there, 98 yards, touchdown, 5 catches, was a top 15 wide receiver. And the reason I have him above Lazard, who also just had a solid game on Saturday, 45 yards, a score, 2 catches on 5 targets, also getting a nice 13-yard rush. Seemed like Rodgers really liked him too, was peppering him all day. The reason, though, is the last time these guys shared the field, we saw 12 targets go to MVS as compared to 9 for Lazard. Now, both of them still fairly viable with those types of volume is coming into them, given that they're facing Minnesota, the most fantasy points allowed. But my preference, if I had to pick one of the 2, would certainly be Valdez-Scantling, given their propensity to give up big plays, that Viking secondary. But both those guys viable. Certainly Allen Lazard in the red zone, getting a ton of volume from Aaron Rodgers. So both picks, definitely wide receiver options. If you miss out on Osborn, if you miss out on McKenzie, both guys you could look to. And then at the running back position, we gave you guys the Eagles guys as our first 2 options. Rex Burkhead, if you really need it, could be a hero for you. He had 150 yards and 2 scores, was a week 16 hero for anyone that actually took the plunge, given David Johnson was out. Some people actually did play him, which is crazy. Granted, 41 touches across back-to-back wins. That was solid. The usage is absolutely there. But keep in mind that, yes, he's the featured back, and we got David Johnson now dealing with COVID-19 reserve. So he probably is going to be the feature guy again in San Fran. Not the worst of matchups by any means. Still, he has seen this much work and had not topped he had seen, where is it here? Over 15 touches, 16 touches rather, 4 straight games, double-digit carries, and had not topped 41 yards in any of them. So this was by far the anomaly, the exception, not the rule here with Rex Burkhead. Could he do it again? Sure, it could happen, but I would be very skeptical of seeing a big Rex Burkhead day again. Josh Palmer, 5% rostered, certainly a viable receiver option out there in your leagues as we get to number 11 here. Given that Mike Williams is likely out, again, new protocols, kind of throwing things, a wrench into things. Is Mike Williams actually going to be out this week? We don't know yet. But if so, we have seen Palmer thrive when he gets meaningful, extensive work. Only the couple times he's seen more than 5 targets, he's now scored 17.5 and 15.3 most recently. This last week, finding the end zone in both of those games where he was used. He's shifty, he's nimble, he gets open in the red zone as well. Definitely a viable guy to be looking out there for. Anybody catching passes from Justin Herbert. The matchup is not great with Denver. That's why he's a little bit lower on this list, but his quarterback talent is better than anyone else we've been talking about. So keep Josh Palmer in mind. I'm lower on. This guy's number 1 on a lot of lists. So this is where I differ from a lot of people is Dare Ogunbowale. I butcher his name. I don't even want to bother being insulting and saying it horribly. But he's facing New England, 2% rostered. And that's kind of where I'm out, right? He had, yes, the volume was great. 82% of the snaps after James Robinson was hurt, 17 of the next 20 carries, 57 rushing yards, touchdown. But then you look at that, you're like 57 yards on 17 carries, 3.1 yards per clip against the Jets, the worst rushing defense in the league. That's pretty abysmal. Now you're getting, the Pats and their 15.5 underdogs. So I think the volume is certainly a huge question here. I guess the one way that this guy might pay out value this week is he's a solid pass catcher. That's always kind of been his role. He's never really been a feature back. He's been more so that third down back. So if they get down big early, and they probably will, these Pats are very good at beating up on bad teams and losing the big matchups when they count, unfortunately, for my team. Nonetheless, they should be smashing the Jags, in which case, don't be shocked if you got 7 to 8 catches out of this guy, and then he paid off value. Still a very, very risky bet. Not somebody, again, we gave you 11 people ahead of him, and he's number 1 on a lot of lists. So of these guys, I always try to highlight who do I think is fool's gold this week. I think Dare could definitely be fool's gold, and I'd be very skeptical. I might even consider using Braxton Berrios, who's been getting it done, 11.2, 8.4, and then 15 PPR points across his last 3. He's been a top 40 wide receiver in all those games. Okay, solid. Crowder was out. He saw 27% target share. That was nice. 6 targets, 5 catches, 37 yards. Also scored a return touchdown. That's really where he paid off because otherwise he would have been a bust. But it just seems to keep happening for Bears. Oh, he stumbled in the end zone on a carry. Otherwise he'd been a bust. Or he caught this deep 60-yard touchdown. Otherwise he just makes that one play that makes him an okay option. Not somebody I'd be excited to play, but he gets Tampa Bay, as we talked about with Elijah Moore, who could be returning and then wipe off the shine of Berrios as well. But they're going to need to throw against Tampa Bay. They've been most susceptible on the inside, in between the lines, to those wide receivers. So I do think Braxton Berrios could be in play. Just want to toss out Taysom Hill's name again. Trey Lance is my preferred option. He's also more available. If Taysom Hill is cleared, though, and again, the COVID-19 protocols seem like these players are likely to get cleared now with these new rulings, likely to go into place, but they only require 5 days. Well, don't forget, Taysom Hill had nearly 11 carries per game. He's a quarterback, 21 fantasy points, top 12 quarterback, and all but 2 of his last starts, 80% hit rate dating back to last year because of the rushing volume. Carolina clearly has quit as a team. They are abysmal. They are pathetic. Taysom Hill should have no problem steamrolling this team. So if you need a quarterback and you don't get Trey Lance, or your opponent needs a quarterback and you block them from both those guys, 2 guys that are out there in leagues that could put up 25 plus that I certainly wouldn't want to face and could use in my lineup should I need a quarterback injection if I'm waiting for Lamar news or any of that stuff. And the last player I'd like to mention is Derrick Gore, only 2% rostered with Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's injury here, though, could step into some relevance. It would be very skeptical to use this guy in your final week, but when he's in, he gets used. He played 19 snaps. He touched the ball 15 times. He racked up over 100 total yards, 43 rushing, 61 receiving, and he now has 193 dating back to the last time he was actually used. So he's been getting meaningful work. 2 weeks ago with Hilaire back and fully good and Darrell back, he didn't touch the field, Derrick Gore. But in week 12 against the Raiders, as they were easing Hilaire back in, we saw 9 carries, 66 yards, and a score for Derrick Gore. And then against Pittsburgh, like we said, again, those are the 100 total yards. Looking solid as a receiver. He actually had the biggest play of the day, over a 50-yard reception there, averaging over 5.5 yards per carry on the season. He just looks pretty solid and explosive whenever he touches the ball. Honestly, maybe even better than Hilaire. So, of course, Darrell Williams, again, at the top of the show, we talked about him, 61% rostered, number one option. If he's not out there and you're desperate at running back and you miss out on the Eagles' backfield, Dare, Burkhead, Derrick Gore is in the most high-octane offense of them all. All righty, folks. That wraps up my top 15 waiver wire pickups of the week. So thank you so much for being here. Let's get on now to that mailbag. What's up, Craig? Time to win that shit, baby. What, you say 6 out of 10? Won 10 leagues. You're a psycho, and I love it. 6 finals out of 10, though. A 60% final rate is unheard of. Legendary performance from you this year, Sarno. Great stuff. And the reason why is probably because you're asking these types of questions. You have this many monsters. Higgins, Montgomery, or Rojo in a half PPR flex. As crazy as it sounds, like I want to say Ronald Jones, given he gets the Jets. He already had 15 last week, was the every down horse. And every down horse against the Jets is always going to be a lock. Higgins, how do you bench a guy that you put up 40? Like, I get that too. That logic. The Chiefs, should they chase points? Probably. So I get that. And if it's a tough matchup where he's an underdog, maybe you do go to Higgins. But he's just the more inconsistent. Like, I know Rojo's getting you 15. He could get you 30. Higgins, yeah, he could get you 35, 40, but it just seems like a little bit of a floor that's lower. Montgomery, good matchup for the guy too, but if you're going running back, you're going to go Rojo there. So I lean Rojo here, Craig Sarno. He also got used in the receiving game, which is a little encouraging too. William G. Won your first fantasy title. Hell yeah, man. Regular on the show. I'm so pumped to hear that. I fucking love it. Was up by 9 points with all my players finished, and my opponent had Kamara. Caught a big break. Oh, yeah. Phew. When you saw Kamara and 9, you probably got another year, next year. Hopefully we get it. So, hell yeah, man. It does, it takes skill to win the titles, but it also takes some luck. And you had the right fortune bounce your way last night. So, congratulations, Will. So pumped for you. Fans like you, that's why we do this. And we're just so happy to hear that you got the title. If you ever want to write a testimonial, or I did want to say this at the top, Wolfpack, obviously your thumbs up help. We're less than 30 away from getting to 2K. I know it's the last week of the season, so I was like, are we going to hit the goal? Probably not. And that does bum me out a bit. But, man, as we get to this last week, please consider sharing us out or bringing along a couple subscribers that you might not have wanted to while we were in season. But it would be so appreciated. We're so close to 30. If you're new here, if you're catching the replay, or you're with us live and you haven't already subbed, please consider hitting that button and helping us get to 30 more people so we can get to 2K. It would mean the world. But Will, so happy for you. If you're interested in writing a testimony of that nature, it always does help us continue to grow and be so appreciated. We can talk after the show about that. But man, either way, it doesn't matter. We're just so happy for you. So I'm so pumped, man. So pumped. Now you have to come down from Toronto next time we do a live show, huh? KC or Green Bay, D. Defensive question. I got to go Green Bay. I don't love either of them, to be honest, Kainsey. Is the Bears out there? Only 17% rostered. I'd have them above both of these guys, considering they're facing Glennon or Fromm. If not, if I have to pick one of these, I'd probably go KC. But that's just because Burrow has been a bit turnover prone, and they could get themselves a pick sick. But, yeah, that's where I'm leaning. Damn, Denny. Got spanked. I got spanked, too. Team I faced put up 200, and I was out Cook. I was out Kelsey. I was out Evans. I was out everybody. So, it happens. It sucks. Trust me. Yesterday, the reason I was pretty quiet yesterday, I was in my hole just crying myself to sleep every night. But no, it sucks getting spanked. There's no, cheers. It's always great seeing you. But it says, the old saying is kind of true. It takes skill to make the playoffs, and then kind of luck does come in there. It does. Obviously, if you have the beastliest of beastliest teams, then skill is skill, and you can make it all the way. But we're looking at the 6th seed in my finals right now. Going off of 190. T. Higgins and Damian Harris both put up 3 touchdowns. Like, what am I going to do? It happens, man. I'm sorry. We love you, loyal fan, like you'd love to see you in the finals, man. But next year, baby, next year. It's always a pleasure having you. Always a pleasure drinking the beers with you. So, Denny, I'm sorry to hear it, man. But I'm glad you're still here, tuning in and letting us know, keeping us updated. Damn, Tunes, tough year for you too. It's just one of those fucking years, you know. Anybody that's in the finals this year, and again, I say at the top, congrats, but like, you earned that shit. This is a wild year with COVID. You know, it's so much of the COVID coming in this last like 2 weeks. It's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. The hardest year to give advice, the hardest year to, you know, I'm in one of my 5 finals. It's tough. It's a really tough year. So, you know, sorry, Tunes, but we'll hope for better next time. And congrats on the exciting news with your child too. Looking great in those pictures. Thanks for sharing. Gage failed. He did after being the number 2 guy. But, man, you made it anyway, so what does it matter? Still got the dub, and you're in the championship craze. But, yeah, definitely got to be a little bit more skeptical of him these next few weeks. Robert Moreno, basically Team Jonathan Taylor versus Team Cup. 2 of the biggest studs, 2 of the most likely to be on championship rosters. Absolutely, Robert. Best of luck, man. Go take it down. Thank you again, Ward, for your super chat. So appreciated this time of year, especially ripping these shows in the holiday season. It's nice to get a little support, and it's so appreciated. And again, I'm leaning Connor here, but I do want to keep getting more information for you. So you have Roto Street Wolf. You can find me. And I'm sure I'll see you on Thursday anyways. But I'm leaning Connor here as of now. If we get word he's still banged up or they trust Chase Edmonds for a full load, any of that nature, we can, of course, pivot. And I'd be probably pivoting over to Ayuk. I'm not trusting Van or Claypool right now. Oh, no, that's terrible. Stafford or Herbert this week? I'm leaning Stafford. I don't have a very concrete reason why. Matchup-wise, just like steadier. I know this last week, those 3 picks against Minnesota, abysmal, right? Hold on one second. I'm pulling up my rankings here. Bless you. I feel like Herbert, he's got Denver, and without Mike Williams, you know, who knows if he get Williams or not back, but if he didn't do that well against Houston, one of the most abysmal secondaries in just overall teams, like that makes me a little bit skeptical as to what he might do this coming week. So ultimately, I lean in Stafford. He's a top 3 quarterback for me this week. Better matchup. And I would go Everett over Noah Fant. Yep, I have him ranked higher. Better matchup, definitely. Lawrence, what up? Dare, Gallup, Bateman, Hunt, McKenzie, Pollard. As long as Cole and what's his name? Davis remain out, I'm going McKenzie, the top of this list. If they're all in or one of them's in, then I'm going to lean probably Gallup, given how hot Dak's playing, the shootout style matchup. I'd lean Gallup there, Lawrence. But right now, I'd go McKenzie, assuming those guys are out. Anyone who's out with COVID will be back unless they're really sick, says One Rock. Yeah, it seems like those new protocols would be it. So like Mike Beasley, Gabe Davis could all play. I'm going to give advice as if they're it's tough. It's tough to know. Fantasy League Championship game is next week. Will you be doing a week 18? No, I probably won't, to be honest, Lawrence. Maybe just for you, but I don't know. Probably not. You can hit me up at Roto Street Wolf, though. I'll give you some tips. I'll tweet something out, but probably no show. Indeed, I just heard this news midnight. Terrible. Rest in peace, John Madden. Indeed. Prayers up. What a legend of the game. Huge ambassador. Brutal. Just brutal, sad news there. Indeed. Thank you, Craig. Hit that like button. Indeed, guys. Like button, subs. Get us up to that 2K. Would be so appreciated. 6 Super Bowls. Hell yeah, man. We do need to get that beer. Craig, I know you couldn't make gold planners. I appreciate you being cautious there. It is time for caution these days. So we'll get those beers soon enough, though. We're both Bev guys, so definitely, Craig. Thinking to bench Kamara for Mixon, Rojo. Yep, I would do the same. No, can't talk you out of it. Unless they're back to normal in that offense. It's a sketchy system. Oh, we got a super chat that I did not mean to ignore here. My bad, Aaron. Thank you so much for the support. Much appreciated. Just popped up on the screen. Herbert's been my number 1 all year. Should I bench him for Burrow? I prefer that's tough. But I do prefer Burrow. I know he's been your guy all year, but Burrow just threw for 530 yards against Kansas City, where they'll probably need to chuck a bit. That's a good Kansas City defense, too. But right now, gun to my head, I'm leaning Burrow. I am. That's tough. That's a great question, though, for sure. Yeah, I would have gone Kamara over Jackson. I mean, that would have been impossible to know. It couldn't have gone worse. You know, Jackson getting 30 and then Kamara getting 9. But I think that, you know, it's enough to convince you to make that move when you have Michelle those two great players right there. I would lean that with Rojo definitely against the Jets. Mixon, you can't bench, and Michelle's just been rolling right now. So, yeah, I would do that. I think Brady to AB stack is good this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. AB got, what, 15 targets, 10 catches? Like, good stuff. And against the Jets, absolutely. I would go AB over Zeke. Yeah, I would. Need two. A.J. Brown, St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Muth. I'm going to go with the first two there, midnight. I'm going to go A.J. Brown and St. Brown. Devonta did have that big game last week, but St. Brown's had big games for 4 straight weeks. Then A.J. Brown, looking like his old self with 31 points. You're not benching him, right? So we're going those first two for you, midnight. Bench Kamara, and we'll be doing it again. One rock. Good foresight there. Those options, great options. I probably would have still played Kamara, so you smarter man than me. But no, now this week after we saw it, Kamara stressed me out needing 2 points. Yeah, phew. That was sketchy. So I'm glad you had 2 points from Kamara and you didn't get it. That would have been just the heartbreaker of all heartbreakers. Hand waiver for my D, San Fran, Chai, Seattle or New Orleans. I like Chicago there. I really do. Facing, Glennon or Fromm, whoever it is. Wolf would be down to do the test. Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that, Will. So appreciated, man. Wolf, hard to believe the season's almost over. 2 finals, should have been 3. Kamara had got 9 points when my opponent needed 8. Oh, last minute too. What a heartbreaker, Omar. But 2 finals in this year, that's no joke, man. So congrats. True Wolf, always here. Much appreciated, man. Finals is the second lowest. Oh, man. Made the playoffs. There you go. Hey, that's all. You make the playoffs. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if you had the lowest, whatever. You're here. You're here, and that's all that matters. One Rock giving you some good tips here. He's not a workhorse like Michelle. Exactly. He's giving you all the reasons. And I totally agree with it. I think this is a good week to bench him. Good evening, Trey. Thanks for being here, man. Full PPR. Choose 2. Pittman, Edmonds, Mitchell, Aaron Jones. So if Eli Mitchell's in facing, Houston, the worst run D in the league, you got to go there. And if Aaron Jones, you don't bench Aaron Jones against Minnesota. I did that last year or a few years ago. He had 3 touchdowns. Not doing it. Sorry. I know it's a committee. I know it's scary. I'm going Mitchell. I'm going Aaron Jones there. Unless Mitchell's out, I'd probably go to Edmonds. If Connor's out, I probably go Edmonds over Mitchell too. So if we get a full workhorse of Edmonds, then I can switch my tune there. This year, man, got lucky that yeah, he did turn it on, man. Jeez, what an effort. I got smoked. That's why I got knocked out in the league, was because Dak had 35 points, and the guy had Cooper and the Cowboy stack. He crushed me. So hell yeah. But much appreciated, man. You're always here, eat powder. What a wild year, but thank you so much for always being here. 2 between Gibson, Harris, and Penny. So Omar, this one will probably come down to Ramondre. Although part of me doesn't know, I don't want to play Gibson. Like, he's sketchy. I know he's fine in the end zone, but it just feels off. So you got Harris against the Jags. Like, that's tough to bench. And then Penny against Detroit. Like, I'm probably benching Gibson here, man. And yeah, man, I really appreciate that. The brand is rising. You've seen a little preview of some of the products we're about to drop. It's good stuff, Omar. I really appreciate you, man. You're loyal. You're here all the time. You're a legend. Johnny Lau, made to the finals. Well, been playing Burrow, Mixon, Higgins all season, and boy, it paid off in the semis. Should I start tasting with Trey Lance, Superflex? If both are starting, I'm going Trey Lance. That Houston matchup's just too juicy. He's going to run all over him. One Rock, thanks for all your work. Wolf came in late season, but been great. I love having you. You're an awesome member of the Wolfpack, One Rock, because you interact, you talk, you talk to our fans with, answering questions. You bring up good points for me to reconsider, sits and starts, all that. You're always a legend, One Rock. So I know you were late for the season, but better late than never, no doubt, because you brought tons of value all the time here. So we really appreciate you being here, One Rock. And to many more, indeed. My first season playing and made the finals, started 3-5. That's what I love to hear. First season, midnight, you starting with a shit record like that and then pulling it off. Let's go now. Cap it on off. First year, first title. Would love it. How would you like me to do the testimonial? We have a link on the site. Will, I should have had that ready. If you come on Thursday, I'll be sure to put it like in the bottom line or something. Shoot me a message at Roto Street Wolf, and I could on Twitter. I could also shoot you that link as well if that works. Or just write a comment on here. I can comment it below. Great advice. Great to see you at the live tailgate, Billy Jiggs. Damian Harris, Monster. 3 touchdowns. I'm glad I got that one right for you, man. Good stuff. Muhammad, you doing a way too early 2022 draft rankings? They're already up, baby. You know me. They're on the Rose Street Journal right now, rosestreetjournal.com, pinned to the top there. So go find them. They're already up. Shoot me some comments. We'll definitely do like a YouTube maybe next week where I look at the big board and we just kind of talk about it. I also want to do one on like my lessons learned, biggest takeaways from 2021, this crazy season. So yes, they're already up there. So anybody out there that wants to see 2022 rankings, they're there. Will G, great. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for always being here. So pumped that you got your title, man. Awesome stuff. First win. Feels good to be any type of thing there. Beat the Wolf Fantasy League. Oh, man. I would love something like that, no doubt. We got loyal listeners that come in all the time. So we'll have to maybe do some sort of like application and do a listener league. But, I know the regulars will show up for that. So absolutely. I would love to do something like that, Omar. Just continue to grow in that sense. Alrighty, Wolfpack. Thank you again so much, guys, for being here. What an awesome year. We'll be live again on Thursday with The Truth. So, and then, of course, Sunday with my boy, CJ, for one last show. I will, of course, be live throughout the offseason. I know last year I kind of disappeared for a bit. I'll try to hit maybe like one every week or 2 weeks. Certainly, you guys know, the draft, the free agency, coaching changes, like the usual stuff. But I'll try to come up with a topic to make sure I can get live at least once a week. Maybe have a guest or two every now and again for that. But you guys are the best. The reason we do this. Craig, yes, indeed, we're headed to the moon. I appreciate those kind words. It's going to be a great offseason, though. We have so much in the works, so much to drop in the next week or so anyways with like merch and stuff. So that's going to be exciting, but even more in the background with Dev and stuff. So yeah, indeed. And drop Foreman for Acres for who? I don't know who the T is, Red X. Let me know. But as you guys sign out here, one last call for those thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, help us get that 2K. Again, under 30 away from getting there. One last week to get there. Be so appreciative if you can help us push there. Share us out with some people. Indeed. Drop Foreman or Acres for Daryl. I'd probably drop Acres, by the way. So I would go, as cool as it is to have him on the back end of your roster here, how could you ever put him in your lineup here? So I would drop Acres at that point. Unless it's a keeper league. Of course, you can't do it in that sense. But if it's just like this last week, you're not going to trust him in week 17. And thank you, Omar. Definitely be back on Thursday, baby. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. Well, back here, the best. RoseStreetJournal.com is where you can find all our content. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. I'm at Roto Street Wolf. In the Wolf of the Fantasy Sheep, guys. Be that wolf. Later.